What's up, Mavericks fans? Harrison Graham here from Chat Sports Mavericks Today, and I'm not in the studio. I am at my house, but when Mavericks news drops, we gotta get you the info as Dallas has signed 2 players. We'll talk about those players in just a moment, but this is why you subscribe to the channel, because when breaking news happens, we're gonna hit you with the video as soon as possible. So please hit that sub button if you haven't already. It's 100% free. Training camp will be here before we know it, then the preseason, then the regular season, and we are going to have you guys covered along the way. So subscribe and also turn on those notifications so you get notified when we have breaking news information to get to you, which is what we have today. Per Charania of The Athletic and Stadium, the Mavericks have signed 2 players, and I'll be curious to see if you've heard of either of them. Both signed to a training camp contract. I'll go ahead and just get you the tweet from Shams here. He tweeted out, the Dallas Mavericks are signing guard McKinley Wright IV and undrafted Pittsburgh forward Mouhamadou Gueye on training camp deals to compete for a roster spot. So this isn't the Colin Sexton signing you might have been waiting for. This isn't, Carmelo Anthony, a notable free agent that's out there. These are a pair of young players that the Mavs are bringing in to round out their training camp roster. All teams have 15 players on their roster, 2 extra ones for two-way contracts. For training camp, typically you get that number up to about 20. So these are a couple of guys that'll come in, compete. If someone splashes and makes the team or gets placed on a two-way, great. If not, maybe they can go play for the Texas Legends. But a couple of players that, you probably haven't heard of or maybe have not heard much about, and we'll try to do our best to inform you on who these guys are. We'll talk about each guy here. McKinley Wright IV, we'll talk about him first because he did play in the NBA last year. Last year was his rookie year, played in 5 games for the Timberwolves. Didn't get much run, obviously, in those 5 games. Only 19 total minutes played, so got in some garbage time. Did average per 36 minutes, 9.5 points per game and almost 6 assists per game. So if he, played a little bit more, those numbers actually look okay. But obviously, this is not a player that has not played much. 1 point per game in 5 games, so he scored 5 total points. So he has not seen much NBA action as he spent most of the season down in the G League. His last season at Colorado did play pretty well, which is a couple of years ago, the 2020-2021 season out in the Pac-12. Over 15 points per game at 15.2, 5.7 assists per game, over 4 rebounds. Shot well from the floor, did not shoot well from three-point range, just over 30%. I believe his sophomore year, he shot about 36% from 3. So he's shown that he can be capable from out there. And obviously, as a guard trying to fight for a roster spot in the NBA, he's got to show the ability to shoot the ball from three-point range. So hopefully that's something he's worked on this summer and can show during training camp that he can be a knockdown shooter. Before we talk about Mouhamadou Gueye in just a moment, just be honest with me, guys. Have you ever heard of Mouhamadou Gueye or McKinley Wright IV? If you've heard of both of these guys, let me know. If you've heard of one, let me know. If you haven't heard of any, let me know. Type Y for yes, you have heard of one or both of these guys. Type N for no, you have not heard of either of these guys. After this YouTube ad break, we'll talk more about Mouhamadou Gueye and kind of where the Mavericks roster sits overall at this point in the offseason. All right, so we talked about McKinley Wright IV a little bit. Now Mouhamadou Gueye. That is spelled G-U-E-Y-E, by the way. Forward out of Pittsburgh, 3-year college player, actually. Started his college career at Stony Brook and then played last season for Pitt. Averaged just under 10 points at 9.8 points per game. Over 6 rebounds at 6.3. 43.5% from the field. 36.5% from 3. So pretty good clip for a guy who kind of played that power forward spot. 6'9", 210 pounds, good athlete. I watched a couple minutes of highlights just before coming on to film this, and he threw down some athletic dunks for the Panthers last year. So pretty good athlete there at 6'9", and with his ability to stretch the floor, he's more of an intriguing guy to me. Maybe he's a guy that could work his way onto a two-way contract for the Dallas Mavericks. He's got a similar body frame to that of a Dorian Finney-Smith, a little longer. Kind of reminds me of an Al-Farouq Aminu a little bit from the little bit of tape and highlights that I did get to watch, but limited sample size. Not going to say this is a full scouting report by any means, but, stretch four type that can guard multiple positions. He's got the athleticism to do that. Did not get drafted this year, but looking to stick in the NBA. I think he'd be a guy who's a little bit raw right now, but get some minutes down in the G League, maybe work his way up to the NBA and become a player down the road. I think he's got some athletic traits that you like to see in a young player. So that is certainly a positive for the Mavericks here. A couple of guys, again, coming in here. They're going to compete at training camp and see what they got, see what they can show to Jason Kidd and company as they look to round out this roster for the 2022-2023 NBA season. So McKinley Wright the fourth and Mouhamadou Gueye, the two newest members of the Dallas Mavericks. And just a moment, we're going to break down kind of where the roster is as a whole, what the strengths are, what the weaknesses are, what Dallas could still do to bolster this team. But please subscribe. Later this week, we're going to do a video of some different lineups that Jason Kidd could trot out there this year, starting lineup, crunch time lineup, maybe have some fun with it, a couple of different lineups they could experiment with during this season. So subscribe, be looking for that. We will have you covered here on Dallas Mavericks Today with the latest news and rumors throughout the offseason. All right, so with Gueye and McKinley Wright's signing, where does this roster sit? I still think a glaring hole on this team is you need another ball handler. After Luka Doncic and Spencer Dinwiddie, you don't really have a proven third guy. Obviously, you lost Jalen Brunson. You traded Trey Burke. Jaden Hardy, second-round pick, I think down the road can be a player. He looked smooth, although the jump shot was a little erratic in the Summer League. But I don't think he's a guy you can heavily lean on as a rookie this year. Certainly very talented. He's got the tools to become a player down the road, but I don't think he's there yet. You need a proven ball handler, creator type that can run that second unit, because even though Luka and Dinwiddie will have minutes staggered and will play some with that second bunch, they're both going to start. So they can't be on the field, or on the court, one or the other, all 48 minutes, I don't think. You're going to have 10 to 15 minutes a game where you need another ball handler on the court, either with one of those two guys or isolated by themselves, because Tim Hardaway Jr., not really a point guard, okay? Again, Jaden Hardy, he's not really that guy right now, I don't think. So I think you have got to go out and find someone. Frank Ntilikina is not really a run the offense type. Sure, he's listed as a point guard, but that's not really what he does. We've talked about Colin Sexton quite a bit. He is a player I have a ton of respect for and interest in. He still remains as a restricted free agent out there. There's players like DJ Augustine out there that I think on a one-year deal could make some sense. So we'll keep an eye on if the Mavericks look to bolster that point guard unit, because Luka and Dinwiddie are great. It's a really good 1-2 punch. But especially if Jason Kidd is going to start those guys together, you have got to go get a third creator, which is something you don't have right now. Who is your dream player right now for the Mavericks to go out and sign or trade for? Let us know down in the comment section below. Who do you want the Mavs to go out and get to help this basketball team? I will say some strengths. I think the front court's going to be much better with Christian Wood and JaVale McGee coming on board. I think they're both going to help tremendously. Dwight Powell, Maxi Kleber still here. I think as backups, they're both, solid players. You just don't want either of them to start. I like Kleber as a stretch 4 or 5 backup guy that can give you anywhere from 15 to 25 minutes a game. Powell, I know we soured on him in the playoffs, but if he's coming off the bench as an energy guy, I think that's okay as well. Although if he gets traded in some kind of deal to bring in a ball handler here, I would be perfectly fine with that. I think the wing position is solid, although you could use one more guy there, but Reggie Bullock, Dorian Finney-Smith are going to be good players, obviously, for you. Tim Hardaway comes back as kind of that 2-3 hybrid, so he should help as well. Obviously, Luka's a strength on this team. We don't need to talk about him. Dinwiddie feels like the wild card. Are we going to get the guy we saw after the trade and during the second half of the playoff run, or the guy that was struggled through the first 2 series until Game 7 against the Suns? Now, a couple good games against the Suns, and he was good against the Warriors, but he was not good against the Jazz for the most part. I tend to think we're going to get the better version because now he's an extra year removed from that ACL tear. He looked comfortable here in Dallas. That Game 7 against Phoenix where he dropped 30, I think gave him a lot of confidence. So if we get that version of Dinwiddie, then, he can be a really, really good player next to Luka Doncic. So excited about that, but still think you need another ball handler. Still think you could use another 3-and-D type of player. We will see if the Mavs have any more tricks up their sleeves as they build this roster. And, time's running out to bolster this unit before the season because camp is almost here. All right, I am Harrison Graham from Chat Sports. I appreciate you guys for tuning in to Mavericks Today. Like I said, if you're a fan of the Mavericks, this is the channel for you, so hit that sub button. With that being said, we will see you soon with more videos this week.